Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, February 27th, 2025. This is live show number 1159. If you're tuning in for the first time and you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And throughout the month of February, I've been bringing you first looks at game releases. And we're going to wrap up the month doing exactly the same thing. Tonight, we're going to dive on in and take a first look at Grit Fantasy RPG from Gnomebot Studios. And stay tuned, because Gnomebot Studios is going to be giving away two copies in PDF to a couple of lucky viewers. And I will be hitting you up with a couple of trivia questions. So you do have to pay attention, because there will be a test. Well, it's a test if you remember things to get the trivia questions right. So stay tuned. Now, I will mention, if you are tuning in to see the first look, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So it'll probably be about 35 minutes or so before we start digging on into Grit. So if you are watching live, just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. If you're watching after the fact, possibly on Memorex, there will be timestamps both in the timeline of the video as well as in the show notes section. So if you want to jump past the news, you certainly can, although I've got a lot of very cool news to tackle tonight. And also want to mention, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube, such as Sammy Uhas's written reviews. You're not going to see those here on YouTube. You got to go to the website to check those out. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you are a subscriber to the channel and you have been for at least 10 minutes, you can join us in chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our friend of the show and chat moderator, the Madman. Semper Buffo's with us, as is Gleamone RX, Wallona's Cave, W Forge, Matthew Blackwell, Semper Buffo, I already said. Oops, Kathy Evans, and yes, Gnomebot Studios. I'll take a guess that is Jeremy hanging out with us. And so is Jack Hanks. So it looks like we've got chat off and running early. Very cool. Very cool. So let's dive on into it, because landing in stores for Osprey Games, in fact, I think it arrived in stores today, is Kadmai. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. I'm just taking a stab in the dark. Hey, speaking of the dark, I would not be surprised if the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D, Another of our chat moderators happens to be lurking in the shadows, keeping her eyes peeled for misbehavior of all sorts. Anyway, here's a lowdown on Katmai. Like I said, it's a guess. A dynamic 2-player card game of competitive area control, careful planning, and very hungry bears. Every summer, dozens of ravenous brown bears descend upon the majestic Brooks River in the Katmai region of Alaska. Here, they gorge themselves on its summer bounty of salmon that swim up the beautiful, glacial-fed rivers of the Alaskan wilderness. In Katmai, you will be playing bears to advantageous fishing spots along Brooks River in order to gain dominance, satisfy challenges, and catch delicious salmon. As the fishing spots fill up, you'll need to choose your bears carefully, triggering unique abilities that will allow you to take advantage of situations and outwit your hungry opponent. Katmai weaves together simple mechanics with rich decision-making to create an experience that is contemplative, competitive, and tense. Winter approaches and the wilderness is yours. It's time to feast. Katmai is for 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 minutes, does carry an MSRP of $35. We'll mention the fine folks over at Osprey Games did offer to send along a review copy of this, but I am trying to shy away from board game reviews at the moment and have been for the past few months. If you're new to the show, we have a hard time getting the gang together to play board games enough times for me to do reviews on them. So I have been mostly focused on role-playing games. But I gotta say, this does look interesting if you are a nature fan or if you are someone who likes bears. Hey, boo-boo. Fuck the picnic basket. Let's go kill the ranger. Yeah, that was not the best Yogi Bear, but that was one of our running jokes to this day from when I was probably about 13 years old. Hey, boo-boo. Anywho, this looks kind of interesting. Could be kind of cool. I'm kind of kicking myself that I said, no, I'll pass. I'll pass on it. Looks like it could be kind of fun. Tessie Trekkie and Kevin R. Smith are both with us in chat, as is Pete Strakulich, also joining the gang. Let's talk about some role-playing game news because Cubicle 7 Games is now taking pre-orders for Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory Darktide Extraction. Say that 5 times fast. Here's what I know. Listen up, rejects. Grendel needs to go down to the snake stack and retrieve the airflow cogitator. And something nasty is brewing down there, so watch your backs. Explore the setting of Warhammer 40,000 Darktide as Inquisitor Grendel dispatches you to the Snake Stack, a lost region of Hive Tertium, to retrieve a lost Archaeotech cogitator. The ventilation systems of the Snake Stack breathe life into Tertium, but the depths of the Hive are packed with traitor forces of the Mobian Sixth, cultists pledged to the plague god Nurgle, and strange lost sects of the Mechanicus. This 112-page book contains a 5-part adventure campaign for Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory, descending aboard the lost cargo elevator E07 into the dark of Hive Tertium. A guide to the people and places of the Slung, a ramshackle community hanging from the elevator. A guide to Hive Tertium and its history. A selection of Hive encounters for game masters to allow the agents to explore the wider Hive, as well as rewards of gear and status from the mysterious Inquisitor Grendel, spelled differently than Beowulf's Grendel. This 112-page hardcover with PDF can be pre-ordered right now for an MSRP of $39.99. It is slated to arrive in the third quarter of this year, or you can grab just the PDF alone right now, this exact moment, over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Hooray! More Wrath and Glory goodies from our friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. We've talked about how I'm a little bit concerned about Old World when Old World comes out, which is supposed to be later this summer. I don't know if it's going to be a Gen Con release or not. Although if they are saying summer, should be. I mean, after Gen Con, there isn't a whole heck of a lot of summer left. But still, I'm a little worried that we're not going to see as much for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, although we do have the High Elves book, which will be on the horizon. I'm still wondering what's going on with the big campaign they were working on. In fact, I thought it was supposed to be like a multi-volume campaign, not as long as The Enemy Within. But I'll have to reach out to my good pal T.S. Lucard, who hung out with us in chat just last week. Wasn't it last week? Sometimes these shows just kind of all become one long stream. Not that I'm saying it's bad. Just sometimes it's like, wait a second, when did we cover that? When was that show? Was that last week? Was that 2 weeks ago? Very nice. Very nice. So once again, this is available in PDF right now. Moving right along, there is a new horror adventure, which is crowdfunding for the Magnus Archives. And I've got the latest from Monte Cook Games on Tangled in the Web. Deep in the bowels of a rather stodgy old building lie the most comprehensive records of paranormal activity on Earth. Within, one can find recorded accounts of actual monsters and magic, cursed objects, and haunted locations. And, worst of all, evidence of terrifying entities meddling in the affairs of humans at this very moment. Imagine taking the statement of Raymond Finch, who suddenly discovered his office cubicle was part of an endless maze. And on his expedition to find the break room, something started haunting him amid the copiers and water coolers. Or perhaps that of Georgia Quinn, who began to notice more and more cobwebs everywhere she went, only to realize eventually the webs were coming from her own flesh. Or yet another from Seong Min Park, who believed his landlord was breaking into his apartment during the day and hiding occult symbols on all his belongings. And he was right. And once you've read the statement, you'll have to make a plan to verify and learn more about it. You have to investigate each event in person. You must go there and get involved in the terrifying situations yourself. You need to uncover not just the who, the what, and the where, but most importantly, the why. The Magnus Archives role-playing game takes horror on a unique and chilling arc. Adventures at first seem to be unconnected Monster of the Week style encounters with the supernatural. But links between these disparate horrors soon emerge. The players begin to see a bigger and more chilling picture. The real twist comes as the PCs realize that they aren't just combating this web of horror, they're being affected by it. It's changing them. They'll ultimately have to decide how much of their humanity they're willing to sacrifice to save our world from malign forces working to reshape it. Individual adventures are exciting, creepy, and full of the unexpected. But the way they come together through a campaign, long or short, builds an amazing and memorable experience. More adventures, including all new terrors by Jonathan Sims, creator of the Magnus Archives. You'd have thought Monte Cook Games had plumbed the depths of the Magnus Archives, revealing the horrible truths and terrifying accounts of the supernatural therein, conjuring up all there was to know that you probably didn't want to know in the first place. The truth is, Monte Cook Games is just getting started. There is a short crowdfunding video because this is on BackerKit. Let's take a peek.
My name is Jonathan Sims. I work for the Magnus Institute, London, an organisation dedicated to academic research into the esoteric and the paranormal. Statement begins.
He pointed at Ex Altiora and asked me how much it was.
What followed was the longest
afternoon of my life.
For sale, but neither of us said a word. He just
Next morning, however, he was found lying upon his face with his limb out of position and his splints, as he said, staring me again in the eye.
No, that's the way you phrased that.
Did you think I was a ghost?
No.
To sneak into artifact storage, but not impossible.
You don't want to do that.
Don't know. Destroying this is going to kill that thing.
You can
But I am damn sure it's going to hurt.
not going to like it.
The Magnus Archives is an award-winning horror podcast examining what lurks in the archives of the Magnus Institute, an organisation dedicated to researching the esoteric and the weird. It follows head archivist Jonathan Sims as he attempts to bring a seemingly neglected collection of supernatural statements up to date, converting them to audio and supplementing them with follow-up work from his small but dedicated team. Individually, these stories, these statements, are unsettling. Together they begin to form a picture that is truly horrifying, because as they look into the depths of the archives, something starts to look back. Now, finally, you can enter the archives yourself as a player or as a GM, investigating the supernatural horrors found in the podcast or those you create on your own. Work alongside Jonathan and Martin, Basira, Daisy, and the rest of the staff. Encounter the not them, the anglerfish, or the man upon the stair. Learn the truth of the books of Jürgen Leitner, the coffin that is also a pit, and the People's Church of the Divine Host, and face the effects of these secrets upon the world and yourself.
The BackerKit project is fully funded. You can score all 3 of the brand new books in hardcover with PDF for a $130 pledge, or if you want to just grab them in PDF, you can do so for a $55 pledge through March 3rd. Oh, I should say March 13th. Now, these 3 books are slated to release 1 per quarter beginning in the spring of 2026. Yes. And something else that's going on with this crowdfunding project is every pledge, even if you pledge $20 for one of the new books in PDF, you get a copy of the core rule book, which I believe is over 300 pages in PDF, free. I thought that was kind of interesting. I sort of have the impression that this game has not gone over as well as Monte Cook Games was hoping, because this is a tie-in to a podcast. And I know the, the Old Gods of Appalachia is, they also did a role-playing game for that was like super hot. I don't know how good it is. I haven't seen it. I wonder. I'm kind of curious. Sadly, I don't really review stuff from Monte Cook Games. I'm kind of surprised because they follow me on social media. And I did review some PDFs long time ago. Maybe that's why. Maybe they only offer PDFs to reviewers. Maybe that's why I really don't do stuff with them. I don't know. I interviewed Monte Cook years ago. He was super nice. We had a good time. It was very, very nice. Jack Hanks says it's a pretty solid game. So that's cool. That is cool. Sean O'Donnell's with us in chat. W Forge asks, How long does it take to read your standard hardcover role-playing game? They're a slow reader. Sometimes it takes a few weeks to get through an entire book, especially if it's over 300 pages. Okay, so you don't want my answer on that. You don't want my answer on that, but I'll give it to you anyway. I can usually rock through about a 250-page RPG book in an evening. Zoinks, about 4 hours. It is about 4 hours, but I will also point out when I start getting into like the fluff sort of stuff, I skim. I will not necessarily Evelyn Wood it, which I never took Evelyn Wood classes because I always thought that was a load of shit anyway. Yeah, read this really fast and not understand any of it. I think comprehension has a lot to do with it, right? When you read something. But if you follow the show, you've heard me talk about before when I was a teenager, I could kick it on our enclosed front porch on like a spring day when it was raining or something and go through about 1,200 pages, 1,300 pages of books in just an afternoon, an evening. So yeah, I read fairly quickly. Still do, thankfully, knock on wood. Alrighty then, moving right along. There is a money-saving bundle of holding quick deal, which has arrived. It's focused on Jonathan Green's Ace Gamebooks line. And I've got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. For a limited time, this You Are the Hero quick deal presents the 40th anniversary edition of, you guessed it, You Are the Hero, plus interactive Ace Gamebooks inspired by the Fighting Fantasy Gamebook series. Part history, part celebration, You Are the Hero chronicles 4 decades of the fighting fantasy phenomenon. Written by Jonathan Green, author of 8 fighting fantasy gamebooks, this revised, updated, and lavishly illustrated tome will appeal to anyone who ever whiled away a washed-out summer holiday with only 2 dice and a pencil. Well, yeah, but you also needed the adventure book. Forgot to mention that. This new quick deal celebrates a Kickstarter campaign in progress. Fighting Fantasy Solo Adventure Gamebooks back in print. I will probably share a news piece about that next week. Maybe not, because it is from American publisher Steve Jackson Games. Yeah, strike that. Strike that. It's going to reprint the first 5 Fighting Fantasy Gamebooks in enhanced editions with large print. So here's a bit of trivia. The British Steve Jackson, who started the Fighting Fantasy Gamebook series with Ian Livingstone and who also co-founded Games Workshop, is absolutely no relation to the American Steve Jackson, designer of Munchkin, GURPS, Car Wars, Illuminati, and such. But get this, the U.S. Steve Jackson also wrote 3 Fighting Fantasy Gamebooks. It's all tackled in You Are the Hero, which I reviewed, you might recall. Really liked it. I thought it was excellent. And I had no experience with the Fighting Fantasy books. For just $19.95, you'll get all 9 titles in the Ace Gamebooks collection, which has a retail value of $129, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete full-color 324-page You Are the Hero 40th Anniversary Edition, along with 7 Ace Gamebooks written by Jonathan Green in the fighting fantasy tradition. Alice's Nightmare in Wonderland, The Wicked Wizard of Oz, Neverland, Here Be Monsters, Beowulf, Beast Slayer, Twas, The Krampus Night Before Christmas, Dracula, Curse of the Vampire, and Ronin 47. Also included is the Saxon-era role-playing game, Heorot, role-playing in the world of Beowulf, Beast Slayer, which it's not a game book, it's actually a role-playing game. These savings will run through March 4th. So if you enjoy the choose your own adventure sort of style of play with a little bit more meat on the bone than like Choose Your Own Adventure was, because you are rolling dice and battling monsters and things like that. I want to take a peek at this. And as I already mentioned, I reviewed the 40th anniversary edition with You Are the Hero and liked it a ton. Really liked it a lot. All right, on to our final news piece. There is a rules expansion which has landed in print and PDF from Outland Arts for the popular Mutant Epoch role-playing game. And here's the skinny. Rank up your post-apocalyptic adventures with all new character types, new skills, pre-game casts, remarkable mutations, cybernetic implants, and devastating relic treasures. Add never-before-seen incredible excavators to your existing ruin-exploring dig team, or face these new oddities as vile foes. This book is part 2 of the Hub Rules and is a must-have resource. Let me say that again. It is a must-have, resource-rich source book. See, that sounds better now. That's sure to make the Mutant Epoch role-playing game the ultimate post-apocalyptic science fantasy role-playing game. For players of the Mutant Epoch, this book offers 12 new player character types, along with an incredible selection of 35 new bestial humans. Also included are 100 new prime mutations, 42 minor mutations, 36 flaws, and 8 NPC-only mutations for those special wasteland inhabitants. Also, the long-awaited plantoid veggie sapient character type appears in this book. These weedies have their own extensive collection of 71 prime plantoid mutations and 20 flaws, all their own. There are 2 new character outfitting systems, the rapid fire method and the ultra quick equipment pack system. Other expanded rules include cybernetic purchasing and sales tables, healing times for broken bones, the effects of radiation on robots, androids, and other mechanical systems, and much more. The book includes 14 character sheets, all of which are also available on this book's webpage. As Game Master, the book gives you a haul of new relic rewards and deadly robot and drone adversaries to challenge characters of any rank. Optional rules offer brutal attack mode-based critical strike outcomes, rules for pushing beyond the daily mutational usage limits of mental and energy-based mutations, new combat options, and a robust selection on dimensional portals, destinations, voids, relic gear, and the terrible wraith-like beings that inhabit them. This book does require the use of the Mutant Epoch Hub rules, plus it's also recommended that you have a 30-sided die, because there are some tables and relic damage rolls which use that. The 532-page hardcover, yes, you heard that correctly, 532 pages, is available by way of DriveThruRPG. It carries an MSRP of $55.99. If you want to grab it in softcover, you can do so for $42.99. If you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can grab that for $19.99. I've always been interested in the Mutant Epoch. But then again, I'm kind of a fan of the off-the-wall sort of Gamma World role-play games out there. It's like, I honestly wish Mutant Crawl Classics was a much more solid core rule book. The adventures appear to be pretty decent, but the core rule book, just compared to Dungeon Crawl Classics, pretty light on goodies in there. So, like I said, I've always been kind of curious about this. And as far as I understand, the writer is also the author, or the writer is also the author. The writer is also the illustrator. You know, the driver is also the operator. Yes, the author is also the illustrator, as far as I understand. And I think the book has something like over 1,100 illustrations in it. It's crazy. Hey, Sarah D is popping on in. Very cool. Welcome aboard. Sean O'Donnell is with us tonight, talking schmack in chat. Very cool. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget the Gaming Gang. Thus, the Dispatch is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, even Wargame Vault, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, and if you got some time to appease the YouTube algorithm gods, leave a comment on the video. It is much appreciated. Anyway, if you like the channel, if you feel the Gaming Gang is a valuable resource, hell, just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, that's wet. And there are some fine folks this month who popped on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and made not small donations, such as our friends of the channel, Joshua Edwards, Lisa Watkins, The Madman, Envision Services, as well as the secret donator who provided the funds for us to pick up Dark Tower, Original Adventures Reincarnated Volume 7 from Goodman Games. Yes. We will have a review of that very shortly. Alrighty then. So as I mentioned, I am going to be diving on in. We are going to be taking a first look at Grit Fantasy RPG from Gnomebot Studios. You're going to want to pay attention because we are going to be giving away, well, I guess I should say it's Gnomebot Studios, giving away 2 copies of Grit Fantasy RPG in PDF to a couple of lucky live viewers. I am going to hit you up with a couple of trivia questions. And of course, first person to answer correctly is going to be the winner chicken dinner. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's refreshment time, and our refreshment stand is loaded with good things to eat. There's crispy, crunchy popcorn, and hot, delicious buttered popcorn, lots of candy, and frosty, refreshing cold drinks. Why not treat yourself at the Refreshment Center now?
There's nothing like a county fair to get you thirsty. And here's the beer worth getting thirsty for. Budweiser. It has a taste, it has a drinkability, it has a smoothness that only Beechwood aging can deliver. So, get thirsty. Budweiser's the best reason in the world to drink beer. I can tell you, Budweiser is the best reason in the world to drink beer.
If you like really good coffee, why not spend the extra money and get 2 cans of Wilkins?
Why not?
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. He's your one-man army.
No enemy can destroy him.
He fights off tanks, hurls missiles one after another. Even a squadron of planes can't stop him. Robot Commando fires his secret weapon. He takes orders from no one except you.
Forward!
Ideal's Robot Commando is battery operated to obey your command. Adjust the control, speak into the microphone.
Left! Fire!
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. Look for your Robot Commando. He's looking for you.
Wonkins lives! Yeah, no movie trailer tonight. You guys are getting spoiled out there. I'm like, can't get a movie trailer every show. Chris Lundgren has popped on into chat. Good to see you, Chris. Mateo is also joining us once again. Nice to see you return. Sarah D points out, which she has mentioned previously, she works for the post office. So yes, most people could figure out why they're having an emergency meeting. I would say I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, but fingers crossed isn't good enough. You know? Hope things turn out well. Alrighty, so yes, we are avoiding politics tonight. Hey, I did want to mention, I was kind of bummed out. I saw this morning that, I'm sure the vast majority of you know about this too. The actor Gene Hackman and his wife, as well as one of their dogs, were found deceased in their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. I think it was Santa Fe. And I was like, oh, man, that sucks. I'll be honest, I have the impression it was probably suicide. So I don't think Gene Hackman was in the best of health the past few years. In fact, there was a photo that came out, I think it was middle of last year, and it was like, holy cow. I mean, he was, 95. But yeah, kind of odd, kind of weird. But yeah, I kind of get the impression that maybe he passed and his wife found him. And, because there are married couples who are together for a long time who just don't want to go on without the other. So W4 asks, favorite Hackman film? It was funny. We were just talking about Gene Hackman a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about actors who were fantastic actors that probably would not be able to get a featured role if they tried to break into Hollywood today because they weren't, classic leading man looks and stuff like that, right? And Dustin Hoffman was obviously one. And yes, Gene Hackman. The Conversation is a fantastic movie. It is a really good movie. I am going to have to say, when I think Gene Hackman, I always think of Unforgiven. I always think of Unforgiven, which is just a phenomenal film. It really does kind of encompass what the West was more like than what you see in a lot of Westerns, right? So, right, exactly. Coco B's with us in chat. He was building a house. Right, and then it's blam. And that is a good movie. That is such a good movie. Of course, it'd been, almost 20 years since he had been in a movie? I think it was like 2004. Was it 2014? I think it was 2004, actually. But there you go. W4 says they love Superman, but they have to say The Quick and the Dead. Yes. In fact, I think he probably makes that movie because there's some fairly wonky performances in that I seem to remember. There you go. Sean O'Donnell. It's Welcome to Mooseport. It was in 2004 and didn't do well at the box office. I got to be honest, I never saw it. I have not seen it. W. Ford says Hoosiers. Oh, yes. Mississippi Burning. A movie that plays fast and loose with facts, unfortunately. But another film that's got just phenomenal performances in it. All right. So, Get Shorty in the Birdcage. Mateo says, yeah, the Birdcage. Funny movie. It is excellent. And it was really kind of cool to see Gene Hackman kind of play against type. So, very nice. All right. So, tonight, we are going to be diving on in to take a first look at Grit Fantasy RPG from Gnomebot Studios. It is written and authored by yeah, I know. It's a callback to me being a dummy earlier. It's written and illustrated by Jeremy Pete, who I believe is still with us in chat. Though he may have checked out and said, enough of this tabletop news nonsense. I'm leaving. This 138-page book is available at DriveThruRPG. You can get it as a hardcover with PDF for $24.99, softcover with PDF for $19.99, or just in PDF alone for $9.99. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here we've got Grit Fantasy RPG. A few things to mention before we jump on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Gnomebot Studios were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that these days. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to get a good feel for what we're going to find inside. So my understanding is that Grit Fantasy RPG uses a 12-sided die for action resolution. It is designed for one-shots, short campaigns, and like convention games. As people recall, the Poseidon Adventure, yeah, that wasn't a bad movie. That was okay. Pete Strakowitz says the news is their favorite part. Yeah, some people dig the news and then tune out, and other people are like, I gotta sit through the news. It's like, okay, it's all right. It's all right. Okay, so nothing on the back for us to read. So yes, Gnomebot Studios is still with us in chat. Probably when, they were having a cocktail and they were like, oh crap, I just heard Jeff say, hey. All right, so there was a little note in here. And my copy is autographed. May the grit be with you. So design, writing, and art by Jeremy Pete. Editing and layout by Ryan James. Here's our credits page here. And as you can see, this is A5 size. I believe that's the A5. Our contents. So we've got our core rules, our characters, GM's guide, monsters, loot tables, odds and ends. This is Grit. Grit is a rules light system designed for one-shots and short campaigns. Told you. Makes storytelling the focus of gameplay without the need for constant rule checking. Here's some highlights of Grit. Easy to learn, quick characters, fast combat, lots of loot, low prep. What you're going to need is at least 2 players with 1 person taking on the role of the game master. You need the rule book, set up polyhedral dice for each player, character sheets, writing utensils, and something that sadly people don't tend to have in spades, imagination. Not everybody, but you know, we've talked about this. All right, core concepts. Standard D12s used as the primary die. Rolls are either static, beat a target, or opposed, roll higher than the opponent. There's no set turn order. Each round is determined by the players and the game master. 3 simple measurements are used for both movement and range. Players begin the game with 3 focused dice, which are used to boost rolls. In lieu of spells, there are magical items for players to discover and use. Each player has 10 points of grit, representing health. All right. Getting on into the core rules here. You declare an objective, get Game Master guidance, make the aspect roll, use the focus die, ? And receive your results. So easy, average, hard, absurd. Easy is a 3, average is a 6, hard is 9, absurd is 12. And it's giving us a breakdown of those. So we got our static rolls and opposed rolls, and we get some examples of those as well. Grit represents the life points of a PC or monster and is shown as a numeric value. All PCs have a maximum of 10 grit and can never exceed that. Yes, no bags of hit points, folks. Most monsters have 1, 5, or 10 grit, with powerful monsters having 15 or more. There's also the damage capacity of objects and structures, such as barricades, doors, or walls, can also utilize grit. Got gear slots. So I figure here we'll kind of look, maybe not at every page, but I do want to give you a feel for what we're looking at as far as the driving mechanics of grit. So we have aspects. So it looks like it's our attributes here. Got might, prowess, valor, insight, and command. Are we going to have a set number to break up? So I'm taking a look at here. GM tells them to make an average might roll, which means they need to beat a 6. Player rolls a 5, adds 2 for his might. I guess we're going to find out when we get into the character creation. So W4 says, I have to say I'm digging the art. Nice to sometimes have a singular artistic viewpoint. You know what, though? This is available in a hardcover. I got a softcover book. Man, I don't know. That's disrespectful. I'm just joking. All right, so we got gear slots. So it looks like that is going to be our encumbrance. Kits contain a small collection of items that take up a single gear slot that are used to accomplish specific tasks, have an aspect noted when rolls are required. Player example here. I use the spyglass for my kit to observe the camp from a safe distance. Game Master, because of the kit, your insight roll is now easy instead of average. Player rolls an 8, beating the target number 3. You easily scan the entire camp and notice an orc wearing an amulet. Swear to God, I almost said omelet. Almost said omelet there. And my brain went, why would an orc be wearing an omelet? Oh, yes, it's an amulet. Food and potion, magical items, reaching 0 grits. First time a PC is reduced to 0 grit, the player must immediately choose between going out in a blaze of glory, guess you got to play some Bon Jovi at the same time, or receiving a second chance. When monsters and NPCs reach 0 grit, they are dead. They do not get this option. Blaze of Glory, player describes one final action of incredible heroism. It's resolved without a roll, and it's considered a natural 12. If a focus die can be used, it's added at maximum value. After going out in a blaze of glory. The player character is deceased. Got combat. Combat does not utilize initiative rolls or follow a rigid turn order. Instead, it is established by players deciding together who should act as a round progresses. At their discretion, the game master will also take a turn to control the monsters before or after any player. Key rule concerning turn order is that the last to take an action, not a reaction, in a round cannot be the first to do so in the next. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the magical land of Yeld and their combat, where the players actually will tell the next person that they're going to go in order, or they could tell the game master, okay, now the monsters get to act. So reminds me just a little bit of that. So taking an action, so you can attack, you can sprint, or you can perform an action not related to attacking or sprinting. So it should be like attack, sprint, everything else. Making a reaction, react to an incoming attack you are aware of, and then make a short move if desired. Short move must happen after the attacker has decided whether or not to move. So I'm going to take a guess. We've got some range bands here. So relatively abstract as far as our range. We got an example of combat here for a couple of rounds. Here's some advice. Be a co-creator. Failure can be fun. You know what? I think not enough players and game masters realize that. I know we've talked about, kind of like failing forward, or like we've talked about Mothership and how people come down on Mothership because they don't realize that missing a roll does not necessarily mean it's a failure. Support other characters. Don't get attached. Gear will be lost and characters will die. Adventuring is a tough business. Fear not, there will be many more quests ahead. Push your gear. Look beyond how an item is supposed to be used and open up to how it could be used. There are limitless possibilities for your gear. Pete Straklich points out they're digging the art. Chris Lundgren says they wonder if this would work for a camping trip role-playing game. Well, as it's already been pointed out, this is designed for one-shot adventures, quick campaigns, as well as, I think it's on DriveThruRPG where it mentions this is a good system for like a convention game when you only have those, 3, maybe 4 hours. All right. So at this point, we're going to take a little bit of a break because if you have tuned in earlier, you may already know that Gnomebot Studios, knew I was going to screw that up. What did I say the other night? Goblin Bot? And I'm like, no, wait, that's not it. Gnomebot Studios is giving away two copies of Grit Fantasy RPG in PDF to a couple of lucky viewers. So let's give away a copy right now. As I mentioned, you wanted to pay attention because I'm going to hit you up with the first of the two. Because Kevin Smith says, at least you didn't say Cobalt Bot. Yeah, but I still screwed it up. Doesn't matter. Still got it wrong. So as I mentioned, you need to be paying attention because you're going to get hit with a couple of trivia questions. First one is, what is on the cover of Grit Fantasy RPG? So I'm going to make the questions relatively easy so that we don't bring this first look to a screeching halt. Right? First person to tell me what's on any, you can be close. There we go. Testy Trekkie is the winner. A mushroom man. Yeah, I'll take that. I will take that. I would have taken Shroom Guy. A mycelioid. Isn't that what it's called? Mycelioid? I'm not a big... So Kevin R. Smith says it's a mushroom creature called a sluggoth. So wait a second. So Sean O'Donnell is right? How does he know? How the hell did he know? I don't know what it is. I'm looking at this for the first time. Hey, wait a second. Sean O'Donnell's already got a copy of this. He's trying to get another PDF. Sean O'Donnell's a shifty dude. I don't know if you people in chat know this. I've gamed with it. Gnomebot Studios said in chat, damn it. See, that's what happens when I'm sharing stuff. It's kind of like I don't get to see every single entry in chat. So yeah, I guess Sean is correct. He is the first person. I did not notice Gnomebot Studios. Yeah, I believe it is Jeremy who's hanging out with us, the author and writer of Grid Fantasy RPG. He's the author and artist of it. All right, so there you go. So what we're going to do here, Sean, is I need you to fire away an email to Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com. You've emailed me before. I need your email address to forward on to Gnomebot Studios. They are going to send you a copy through DriveThruRPG. All right, so let's get back into this. So here are our characters. So I'm taking a guess. Are we going to have like a set? Is it going to be like a +2, +1, 0, -1, -2 that you need to assign? We'll find out. So you're going to select your lineage, or you can roll randomly. And here we've got our various different species. The Quickling, the Ruckwar, the Stoutling, the Wildrun. Allocate your aspect points. So, taking a look to see how this is broken down. Oh, it's going to be based on your lineage. There we go. So, your might, your prowess, your valor, your insight, your command. Kevin R. Smith says they like the graphic design and layout. Simple but effective. Maybe that's because I also like green. Kevin's in a game shop and he's, hey, that Gamebook's got a green cover. I got to go buy it. All right. So just giving us a breakdown of how to create our characters. Then we get into a GM's guide. Welcome to the madness. The GM is a mad wizard toiling and scheming behind the scenes for the benefit of the group. That's nice to actually finally get that sort of credit. They are dreaming up adventures, designing encounters, and artfully managing gameplay. Yeah, if they're a good GM. It takes hard work and dedication to be a GM, but countless hours of fun with friends is worth the effort. So then we're going to get into a bit of how to run the game. Here, once again, we're getting information about those static rolls and the target number. The game master's turn, monsters and NPCs. Some optional rules here. So we got critical rolls, dawdle breaking. Table talk is always going to happen during play. It is an essential part of role-playing games. However, gameplay can get bogged down by players overanalyzing, oh, there's my brother, or trying to min-max their options. Thankfully, no one in my gang does that. Part of your job as GM is knowing when to keep things moving. If you see too much dawdling going on, consider immediately doing one of the following. Promptly take your turn if you haven't yet. Spawn D4 low-level monsters adjacent to the PCs. All of a sudden, radius effect hazard to the scene. Introduce an immediate, chaotic, or perilous event. Then we also have an easy mode. If you want to take it easy on your players, I'd suppose. We got milestones. So there's no advancement structure for characters in Grit because it's designed for one-shots and short arcs. Well, it looks like we've got a little bit of information if you'd like to introduce that. Gnomebot Studios points out lineages each get one special ability. So it looks like we've got some random tables here. So it appears as if there might be a little bit of an old school vibe to the proceedings here. More along the lines of rulings, not rules, as opposed to being a fantasy heartbreaker retro clone. Meet the enemy. So here we've got our stat blocks, narrative tags, features, and a description. So you got mooks, goons, and bosses. We're starting to see more of this with role-playing games, with NPCs, where they're breaking them down into 3 or 4 buckets. So here we've got like the mooks, the goons, the bosses. And then we have variations on how a game master utilizes them. Shadow Doll says, ooh, they got punch-out token files on DriveThruRPG. So we got our monsters here. We got common monsters like the ghost, the giant rat, the giant crab. I will say, I like this artwork too. It's got personality. The giant toad, the goblin, the slime, the stone golem, the muggling, the mullock. All right, so let's take a look at the mullock. Ugly, one-eyed, devious, nocturnal. So we've got some keywords that give us a better feel as a game master running this. Glowing eye. Lures, deceives, and confuses targets within long range. Requires a hard insight roll to resist. He's got a toothy bite. It's a melee attack used only as a last resort. Deceptive sounds. Produces a wide range of sounds to deceive its victims, including noises of predatory creatures. Hard insight roll to resist. These squat bipedal creatures have mud-colored skin, branch-like arms, and large mouths with rows of tiny teeth. Mullocks have a huge, glowing, pupilless eye that can be dimmed and strobed. Can you imagine? It's like a strobe light on its head. It's funny. At will to attract small, fake creatures, their primary food source. They make their homes in dark woods and swamps, usually in a shallow burrow not far from a water source. They love metallic and shiny items and will attempt to retrieve such objects through trickery and deception. There we go. We just flipped to the Sluggeth. Odd, hulking, unpredictable, fungal. Defensive spores. All targets within short range must succeed on a hard valor roll, be confused and passive for 1 turn. Pillowy punch. Target is propelled a long distance away, knocked prone and disarmed. A shield cannot be sacrificed to negate this attack. Prismatic mist. Defensive mist of blinding vapor fills a long... Okay, yeah, fills a long range radius. Actions involving sight are absurd for D4 rounds. Large ambulatory mushroom creatures with thick, gnarled limbs and enormous spongy fists. Sluggeth are unpredictable in their reaction to those entering their domains. They emit a foul smell that can be registered beyond long range. Sluggeth are sworn enemies of splogs and will attack them on sight. The wug, the worm. I'm taking a guess that that's 40 grit, baby. Holy jamole. All right. And then we're going to move into loot. And once again, we're going to pause for a moment. I'm going to ask you another trivia question, and we will give away another copy of Grit Fantasy RPG, compliments of Gnomebot Studios. As Max Apocalypse has popped on in, good to see you once again. All right, so here's your trivia question. Tell me 2 monsters that you've seen in this book so far. 2 monsters. W. Forge asks, wasn't Sluggo Nancy's boyfriend? Yes. Or wannabe boyfriend, something like that. You know, I seem to recall when I was a teenager, and when I was a teenager, Max Apocalypse jumps in and gets it with a return to the return of the Sluggoth, which was the answer to our first question. So Max Apocalypse is our winner. What I need you to do, Max, is I need you to email Jeff McAleer at The Gaming Gang from your email account that is associated with your YouTube. So it's your Gmail. And then I will forward that on to Jeremy over at Gnomebot Studios, and they will be sending along a copy of the PDF. So congratulations. Yay. Hooray. All right. So we're into loot. Oh, actually, I was just saying something, and now I completely drew a blank. Oh, I used to read the newspaper on my way to high school because I took the bus. I didn't take like a school bus. I took public transportation in Chicago. So I'd pick up the Chicago Sun-Times every morning because I liked Mike Royko's op-ed pieces and that. And they also had Bloom County. And they also had Nancy. And it was funny because everybody always talked about how much they hated that comic strip and that nobody read it. But it was still in the paper forever. So here's our loot. Got some uncommon items here, and it looks like they are numbered so we can use these as random tables. The antlered helm, intimidation rolls gain +1, sacrifice to negate 1 attack. Kevin R. Smith says, Bloom County was awesome. Good old Steve Dallas. My friends used to joke that I was like the Steve Dallas of our group of friends. I sort of was. Froom darts, thrown, valor roll, or hallucinate for 1 turn. Gnomish coffee, it's a potion, +2 insight rolls and double movement for 2 rounds. This does look like a lot of fun. Armor and shields. Hulking helm. This hefty, oversized helm gives you the appearance of a huge, brawny badass. Only your friends see your true form. Stats and voice do not change. All right, clothing and attire. Now we're into artifacts here. Jewelry and amulets. Tools and equipment, weird and bizarre. The glug jug. As an action, sacrifice a focus die. You may pour out 1 gallon of any kind of liquid you can think of. It gurgles constantly and glugs very loudly when used. So I guess if you wanted, you could say, yeah, I'll take a gallon of Greek fire. Max Apocalypse says, I remember when Bloom County became Outland. I remember that too. And then it just totally changed. And it was, funny enough, I didn't really pick up the Sunday paper. Because I wasn't going to school on Sundays. I didn't need to read it on the bus. W4 says, yep, they remember Bloom County and Doonesbury. My best friend Elliot Miller was a big Doonesbury fan. I was never really got into it. All right, so that is a look inside Grit Fantasy RPG from Gnomebot Studios. Once again, this is available by way of DriveThruRPG. You can grab it as a hardcover with PDF for $24.99. Softcover, which you've just seen here, with PDF for, I think this is considered the softcover, but you know what? There's color in here. Ooh, this might. All right, we need to find out. We've got Jeremy in chat. Is this the copy from DriveThruRPG, or would the copy from DriveThruRPG be grayscale? Dun, dun, dun. And W4J actually has a question for Gnomebot Studios as well, asking, why were spells omitted? Uh-huh. Yes. There are a few fantasy role-playing games that do not have spells, that they utilize things like runes, like rune stones. No, I'm not talking about Rune Quest. I'm telling you, though, remember, we talked about this last night. If you've got any interest at all in ever checking out the latest edition of Rune Quest from Chaosium Inc., you have got to jump on that deal from Humble Bundle, where you can get 19 PDFs, almost everything that Chaosium Inc. has published for the current edition of Rune Quest, for a minimum donation of $18. It's less than $1 a PDF. It is insane. And you know, I am a huge proponent of Rune Quest. It is excellent. All right, so Gnomebot Studio says, yes, that is a copy from DriveThruRPG. Okay, just double checking, because I know sometimes with their soft covers, there is no color, so they are grayscale. So just double checking. Yeah, I was going to say, as far as production quality on this, like the paper stock in that, solid, pretty solid. So, you know, which DriveThruRPG's gotten better with their print on demand and stuff like that. And then they've also got stuff where they are now the publisher, or I guess not the publisher, they're the manufacturer, I guess I should say, for some publishers out there, like Onyx Path Publishing. Their books are now produced by, as far as I understand, they are produced by DriveThruRPG. It's kind of cool. Once again, so for Grit Fantasy RPG, you can get the hardcover with PDF for $24.99, softcover with PDF for $19.99, or just score the PDF alone for $9.99. I will have the link with our affiliate code in the show notes. And of course, if you do tend to visit gaminggang.com, go to the page for this video. I will also have the link for it there too, because of course, if you are going to order it, why not use our affiliate code? Sweet. All right. Chris Lundgren says they bought the starter set. It was overwhelming in itself. The Rune Quest starter set? I mean, there's a lot in there. But as far as, you know, core mechanics, it's just percentile dice. Roll under. So what could start throwing some people are the different kinds of magic and things like that. But as far as the adventures go, the adventures, in fact, there's even the adventure, it's a solitary adventure to teach you the system a bit. So, Chris Leonard says it was a lot of reading. Well, yeah, because there's a lot in there. You're getting your money's worth. Coco B says, Grit looks fun. I'm always down for one-shot type games. I do prefer the ongoing campaigns, but I have absolutely no issue with like short adventures with those campaigns. I don't necessarily need an adventure to drag on 5, 6, 7 sessions. But I do like to string stuff together for campaigns and that. It's just me. It's just me and my over 40 years of game mastering, which makes me an expert. I would never claim that. Everybody's got their own style. Everybody has their own things that they enjoy. So everybody's a different game master. And, the funny thing is, if you try, I don't know why I'm getting into this topic, but if you try to ape someone else's game mastering style, you're never going to pull it off. You're not going to be a very good game master if you're trying to game master like someone else. Got to do your own thing. Got to have your own thing. All right. Chris Lundgren says, addressing Gnomebot Studios, I feel this system is an easy way to get people that never RPG a way to dip their toes. Are there adventures for this system? Are there published adventures? I don't think I saw them. I don't know. So, as Gnomebot points out, you can run short campaigns, like 3 to 5 sessions. Campaigns I run tend to go longer than that. But as far as adventures go, I don't like stretching adventures way out. Although, if I ever ran, say, like The Enemy Within, yeah, that would be some pretty long adventures in that campaign. But I think it would probably be worth it if I had the right group of people. W4Jazz, any grit actual plays online? Oh, so Gnomebot Studios says there is one adventure that's been made. Chris Lundgren points out their Osric campaign is about to hit 4 years. That's sweet. I'm amazed by people who are like, oh yeah, our game's been going 20 years. It's like, so your group has been getting together for 20 years? They're like, no, our campaign's been going for 20 years. It's like, zoinks. So, sweet. All right. That is it for this time out. I have to go pet sit again. In fact, I have to go over there when I wrap up the show. In fact, if you are hanging out and watching and you notice there aren't like timestamps for like 2 hours after the show ends, that's why. That's why, because normally I just go and take care of the timestamps as soon as I leave the Duct Tape Studios. That will not be the case tonight. Also, if you are a winner for Grit Fantasy RPG PDFs, email me, but don't expect a response for a couple hours. All right. So what's cooking next week? Well, on Tuesday's show, we're going to dive in, take a first look. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing the first looks because I did it for February, but I think people are liking them. Granted, I don't think our viewerships we jumped much. We kind of do our 500 views on the live streams. That's about it. But we're going to dive on in for the latest release for Symburum, Agrella City of Eternal Euphoria, which is from our friends over at Free League Publishing. We're going to take a peek at this on Tuesday's show. On Wednesday's show, we're going to take a look at Almanac, which is for Shadow Dark, if I remember correctly. And it's all bird related. I think there's 4 adventures, 4 segments, something like that. This is from Exalted Funeral. And then a week from tonight, I'm not sure. I do have a few things we could take a peek at. We could maybe dive into another Cubicle 7 games. I almost said entertainment. Cubicle 7 games release, which I have got. So we will find out. But regardless, Tuesday, we'll be diving on into that. I'm very interested. Very interested. W Force says not popular here, but they're waiting on Jeff's review of the Monster Manual, which I was going to shoot tomorrow. It is probably not going to happen tomorrow. Maybe Saturday. I promise I will have the review of the Monster Manual, Dungeons and Dragons 2024 up this weekend. Or I promise I'll have it up before the next live stream. So then if I don't have it done by Monday, I'll be like, oh, I'm sick. I'm not streaming live this week. Agile Monk has popped on into chat. Good to see you, Agile Monk. Popping on in at the last moment. And yes, I did receive your PayPal donation. Would you prefer that I refer to you as Agile Monk or your company name? Because it shows up as your company name. So, yes. Kevin R. Smith says they voted against that first look when I shared that poll the other day where you could vote if I was going to share a first look of the Monster Manual here on the stream or not. And the vote was not yesterday, leading up to yesterday. So we took a peek at the NPC core for Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster, which that was kind of cool. I agree, though. A lot of people were emailing saying, man, that's 240-page book, $70? $69.99. Yeah, that's asking a lot. And I agree. I agree with you. Those of you who emailed me or even commented on the video, I think there's a couple of comments on last night's video saying $70. Yikes. So, Rex says there was a poll. Yeah, if you follow me on social media, it was on every social media account I've got, which I don't have a ton, but it was on X, it was on Blue Skies, it was on Facebook, and it was in our community, which now they don't call it the community on YouTube. They call it posts. It's kind of boring. And Teo goes, 69, dude. Chris Lundgren says, yeah, that's too much money. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's got a lot of artwork. We will give it that. And it did look pretty interesting. I am reviewing it. It's on my docket to review, but yeah. $69.99? Damn. And the thing is, I know I'm going off on a little rant here as I wrap up the show. Not really a rant. The thing is, when you see the big publishers, and I consider Paizo Inc. to be a big RPG publisher. Granted, they're not a Wizards of the Coast, but they're up there. They're up there in size. But when you start seeing books which are 250 pages, $60 and $70, it's like, all of a sudden, all the other publishers see that and they start thinking, well, people are going to pay that much for that. I guess I can push the envelope and try to charge. Not every publisher is looking at it that way, but there are some who are like, well, Wizards of the Coast charges you $60 for a 220-page adventure book. Our book's 250 pages. So we're charging $60 too. And it's like, Teo says, that's a lot of beer money. Coco B says, that's $100 Canadian right now. Yeah. Kevin R. Smith says, I think $70 is Paizo's going rate now, but for only 240 pages. Yeah, we walked through it last night. Limit RX says tariffs. I don't know. I don't know about that. I do know, not necessarily game publishers, but I do know that there are some companies out there who have jacked their prices up and they've pawned it off onto tariffs, but tariffs really don't affect them. I swear, when I was younger, and this is how I was raised that you don't go looking to fuck people over. That there are certain lines you don't cross. And that, money's a good thing, but money's not the answer to everything. And it's pretty sad because we now live in a society, and it's worldwide. It's not just here in the United States. It's probably the worst in the United States, but I do understand that these sorts of things do happen in other countries too. But it's sort of like there's so many people out there who just don't care about fucking someone over for a buck. It bothers me. Nothing I can do about it, but it does bother me. And it's sad to see that. It's sad to see. But there are still companies and people out there that are like, hey, you know what? We make enough money to get by. We're not doing too bad. We're not going to screw people. So I get that. Kevin R. Smith points out Dungeon Crawl Classics from Goodman Games. $50, 500 pages, Barnes & Noble. And that's Barnes & Noble, which Barnes & Noble is not necessarily famous for discounting games. Sometimes they do. But most of the time your game books are maybe, if you can get a deal on it, it's 10% off, which online retailers usually do better than that. But yes, I agree. Dungeon Crawl Classics, excellent. Excellent value, in my opinion. And you even get, they're short, but you even get 2 or 3 adventures in the core book. So Max Apocalypse says they were surprised to see a copy of Mutant Crawl Classics at their local Barnes & Noble. Yeah, I got to give Barnes & Noble some credit because they've expanded a little bit on their gaming horizons. So W4 says, I like that Jeff covers a wide range of role-playing games. Just looked up a review for Lone Star, solo play for Mothership on Jeff's previous gaming channel. My previous gaming channel? I don't have a previous gaming channel. I don't recognize Lone Star either. Maybe you're talking about a different Jeff. Maybe that's it. Kevin R. Smith says the adventure collections are also $50. They're fewer pages, but not as bad as NPC Core. Normally, if you see, the one thing that is tough as far as if you're ordering stuff, say you wanted to order a couple of adventures from Goodman Games, and they're just your standard Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure or Mutant Crawl Classics adventure. I want to say off the top of my head, and they may have bumped the price up a little bit. From W4 says it had a different name from the Gaming Dispatch. Well, this is the Gaming Gang, and the name of this show is the Gaming Gang Dispatch. But yeah, I've never shared reviews of stuff on any other website or any, Board Game Geek I would link stuff to. I don't really do that. Gluin RX says the Daily Dope. Well, that was an old show. That was an old podcast. And then we did do the live show, the Daily Dope. And then I changed it because too many people were popping on in thinking it was about drugs. Which I guess would, make sense, right? Not realizing, dope is an old term for, like Yeah, the scoop, the skinny. I've got the news. I've got the dope. So, yeah, W Forge says it was on the Daily Dope. See, I don't even remember that. Lone Star? Hey, you know, when you've covered as many games as I have, there are plenty of them that it's like they're just not jumping out. But the Daily Dope was still on this channel. So those videos, I mean, we just essentially changed the name of the live stream to the Gaming Gang Dispatch, which there are still people who don't understand what a dispatch would be either. So it's like, okay. All righty. So that is it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only were you keeping me company as I was sharing the news and doing a first look, but you also kept each other company while I was sharing the news and a first look. So it is much appreciated. But of course, I know a vast number of people who watch these videos, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,100 videos, including old episodes of the Daily Dope, here on the channel. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. If you have a few moments after the stream ends, try to appease the YouTube algorithm gods by leaving a comment. Yeah, it's worth a shot, right? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of the Land of Eam core rulebook, which is right behind me, from Exalted Funeral. Of course, don't forget, Tuesday show, we're going to dive on in to take a look at the latest release for Symborim from Free League Publishing. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Of course, enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. And the hell, it's like something just popped up here. It's like, when in the world was that? Some update thing on the computer. I'm like, what? It usually pops up over there. Why did it pop up over there? Anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Of course, I'll be back on Tuesday. Thank you kindly for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.